G'day guys, you're back with MiracleMAX. Today we're looking at a Kia Sportage 2015 model with a 2-litre GDI engine in it, and the transmission bangs into gear, something chronic. You end up with your spine shoved through your skull. That's how bad it is. What's wrong with it? Let's check it out together. Max, the mechanic is the man. You fix it all, yes he can. With a joke and a cheer, your car troubles disappear. Okay, a bit of a backstory to this particular vehicle. The engine has been replaced due to excessive oil usage. In fact, it used 5 litres within 1,000 kilometres. Mind-blowing. Kia has had problems in the past with oil usage in some vehicles. There was TSBs related to it, as well as lawsuits and everything. Ugh. So hopefully we've got the engine side of things sorted. Just keep in mind this has come from another workshop to me to try and sort out. Now, after the engine was sorted, it had a massive coolant leak. When it was brought into me, I did a short video to show you the coolant leak. Check it out. All right, so it's really low pressure. We're looking at, what's that?
12 psi.
Yeah, 12 psi, something like that. And already it's spewing out there something chronic. Can you see that? So yeah, this is a bit ridiculous. Should have been checked. Okay, so it was returned to the other workshop. They sorted out the coolant issue and we move forward. And now that's where this banging of the transmission takes place. This thing plays up intermittently. You can go for a road test when it's cold and yeah, no problems. Then you stop for 5 or 10 minutes, you start it up again, then it starts kicking and carrying on. So I'm going to take you guys for a road test. I hope you're strapped in okay, and we'll see if it plays up for us. So far no banging, that's okay. It's to be expected, it is cold. It's the first start up for the day, so yeah, I'm not surprised there. I'll get it up to operating temperature, put it through its paces, and then see how the transmission responds. I'll pull over the side of the road, give it say 5 minutes, and then start again. It seems to do it every second ignition cycle for some reason, but yeah, it's driving perfectly at the moment. Okay, so I've done about 5 Ks outside the city limits in a 100 K zone, and I'm happy that it's nice and warm. I did a lot of transmission shifts as well. So I'll chuck it into park, turn the ignition off, give it say 5 minutes, then we can restart it, drive it back to the workshop and see how it responds.
5 minutes later.
Okay, that's 5 minutes on the side of the road. Let's start it up, see if the thing plays up. Oh, did you feel that? I think we've caught it. That's just putting it straight into drive. Let's see what it drives like on the road. See if I can get it to play up so you guys can experience it too. I think you felt that, hey? Oh, bang again. And the change was very not smooth. It was sort of slid into gear. It just kicked back and then it kicked into gear. It's all over the shop. So hopefully it'll stay playing up so that I can just show you guys. Might even just stop now and see if I can take off again to get it to play up for you. I've got no traffic around me, so that's all good. Oh, that bang back into gear again. Oh, nice. Here we go. Oh. Yeah, that's just not right. Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. I like it when you have an intermittent fault and it actually plays up for you so you can, well, figure out what's wrong with it. But I think I've figured it out already. I have done some testing beforehand, before this road test, but I just wanted to try and show you the actual fault itself. And yeah, clearly it's showing itself up. Look, I don't know how much of that came through on the camera itself, but man, I could experience that, you know, bang into gear every time, downshifting and irregular changes, very, very strange stuff. Now remember, there's no fault codes and there was some strange live data associated with the oil transmission temperature. So as I go through the various gears, notice that the oil temperature sensor is changing. I'm in first gear, park, neutral, 47 degrees, 48 degrees. We'll chuck it in reverse, 80 degrees. That's not feasible, that doesn't make sense. Back down to park neutral and that's 48 degrees. We've got to think about this logically. We've got to start with the simple stuff and then work our way up. Remember I said that the engine was replaced at another workshop. When it came to me, after the engine was replaced, it had a massive coolant leak. And that coolant leak was as a result of a hose clamp that was faulty. Should have been picked up really, but they've replaced, it went back to that workshop, they've replaced the clamp here, and since I've pressure tested it, there are no coolant leaks. But it's interesting to note what else lives in that area. I'll get a light down here, hopefully I can show you. Where is it? It's just down here somewhere. Anyway, that's the main connector for the auto trans. Now I'm thinking to myself, hang on, like if there was coolant spewing all over this area, which there was, it's going to get water or coolant all around this area. Now, the electrical connector lives down there, of course, just down here somewhere. I'll pull the air box off so you guys can see it a little bit better. But it's really interesting to find out what the fault is, or what I believe it is at least. So the workshop that sublet this to me took it to a Kia dealership in the hopes that they would be able to sort it out. They just did a quick software update, but I don't believe they put too much effort in, to be quite honest. Now, what we're after is this guy here. Now, it's going to be a little bit hard for me to dislocate it while I'm hanging onto the camera, but I've released the lock already. So the lock's, see if we can get that up. Yeah, there we go. And let's have a look behind door number 1 and see if we can figure out what is the problem with this. So can you see anything there? Well, if you have a close look there, we got some green crusties. Nice. Let's have a look at the terminals themselves in the plug. And that there, my friends, is the corrosion that's in the connector itself. Now keep in mind, this looks like a little bucket, doesn't it? So any coolant that was dripping through the wiring loom itself would accumulate in there and just sit there. And as it heats up, it would steam up. And as it would cool down, the coolant would condense and puddle in there as well. So look, I believe that that might be our issue. I need to clean it up and make sure I've got rid of all that corrosion, etc. I'll put some dielectric grease in there too to try and stop any more build-up of corrosion. I've just tied the top radiator hose back out the road, so I've got some access. It's a little bit hard to get to that little connector down there, but just to give you an idea, perhaps I can put that light down there, that might help you. Come on, fella. Try that one, hey? There we go. Just to give you an idea of, obviously it's going to retain the fluid simply because it's facing up. Now I've filled it up with some circuit board cleaner, and you can see it's not going down at all. So that obviously is why the fluid stayed there, the coolant stayed there, simply because it acts like a little bucket, retains it all, and yeah, it's caused a real problem. Time to blow it out with some compressed air, tidy up these little terminals, see if there's anything damaged, and then put it back together. So all I used was a bit of contact and circuit board cleaner, and I'll finish it off with a bit of silicone grease. Dielectric grease is another name for it. That should stop any corrosion taking place. So because it's so hard to get onto that connector, the individual terminals, because this is in the road, I'm going to use, or I'm going to do at the same time, a terminal retention check. So in other words, I'm going to see if those pins are okay, particularly on the other end. On this end here, I'll be using male pins to fit in there. That'll help clean out any gunky goos, as well as make sure that those female connectors are tight against the male blade. Now what I'll be using is this particular kit here. Now I can't quite remember where I got it from. I'll see if I can dig up a link to send it to you. I believe it might have been AliExpress or Banggood, one of those, but I think it was like 150, 160 bucks. Now I've always been a great believer in making my own wiring harnesses and connectors and bits and pieces, but honestly guys, this is a good little kit without paying your fortune of like ASE Wave and all those other prices. I think this was about 156 bucks, something along those lines. I'll see if I can dig up the link for you anyway. So terminal retention in this case means putting in a male blade into that female connector, making sure that there's drag in there. I can push it in and out, a bit hard one-handed, but also that's going to drag out any corrosion or whatever, and hopefully I can clean it up better than it was. Yep, good little kit to use, and it should work fine. Look, I've spent quite a bit of time trying to get this right, and no doubt it's not absolutely perfect, but it is better than it was. So there's our connector going into the transmission itself, and this guy here is the female side of things that clips into it. Now, as I mentioned, I did use the contact cleaner again and again and again. I've probably done it half a dozen times, cleaned it up as best as I can. That connector is now locked and loaded, ready to go. As I said, I chucked in a bit of dielectric grease, just a bit, to try and keep the moisture out without creating an electrical path. So I'm going to pop this all back together, and then you guys can hop in with me and we'll go for a road test, see if we've sorted this beast or not. Something that gives me a little bit of confidence is our oil temperature sensor. Now remember, before, every time I put my foot on the brake and went through reverse, it was 80 and it was all over the shop. You can see I'm changing gears there. Let's show selected. We've got 4th gear, neutral, park. She's rock solid on 46, which is perfect. Wasn't like that before, was it, hey? Let's go over to our side gears, no problems. Okay, rock solid 46. And trouble code wise, of course, there was no trouble codes before. Let's go for read codes, and there was no codes anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset the values again, simply because of the fact that obviously Kia had done them, but you know, in that state it probably didn't adapt it correctly. Our ignition is on and engine is off, yes, and it's been completed. So what we do now is we turn our ignition to the off position, wait for 5 seconds, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi. Turn the ignition to on. Our ignition's on. We OK it. We're now completed. So now let's go for a road test after we've changed all these things, cleaned up that connector and done some adaptations to hopefully get this thing running correctly. Okie dokie, road test. Now keep in mind that this thing played up at different temperatures, so we might have to pull over the side of the road and you know, give it several shots. Of course I'll be trying this over several days, not just today. Let's see if it bangs into gear, etc. Now I'm going to do exactly the same road test as I did before. That way I've got consistency of testing, and that's the diagnostic process, isn't it? To see if we can reproduce the faults and if our testing procedure is the same. Okay, we're back to our old spot again. I'm going to turn it off, wait 5 minutes, see what happens.
5 minutes later.
Okay, my 5 minutes is up. Let's see if we've sorted this beast out or not. So we've mimicked the conditions that we had before, so hopefully we've got it sorted, but I'll keep it for several days now and just check it over hot and cold, etc. to make sure I've got it sorted. So as you saw on the road test, there was no banging or clunking whenever we drove back from our road test. I'm going to keep this car for a couple of more days yet and just thoroughly test it to make sure that I've correctly diagnosed it and repaired it. So how was I able to correctly diagnose this fault? Did I use any special equipment that magically fixed it? No, it was just logical thinking. Remember that coolant hose that leaked? It probably filled up that little connector with coolant and then started to corrode and short out. It's been a week since I've done this repair with absolutely no problems. It changes beautifully. I can now hand this back to the workshop, who can then hand it back on to the customer. I hope you got something from this video today, guys, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, give it a like and feel free to comment down below. Hey, don't forget about that notification bell. You don't want to miss any future videos. Of course, you can catch up with us on Instagram, Facebook and whatever else there is out there and see what we're up to. So guys, until next time, this is MiracleMAX signing off. I will catch you later.